Tom's running into a very close friend. Tom Wilson Dance Party, Saturdays at 9.
More than a feeling. That's the power of love. I just take this. Everyone takes me, so I take myself.
Tom can do whatever he wants. Now, I should let you know we've got Q&A mics in this aisle over here, this aisle over here. I'm going to start things off, ask them a few questions, but look, I love my job, but I love letting you do my job for me. I gotta be honest, so get lined up to those mics, I'll give you some time to think.
We love you doing Moises' job for him, too.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Tom.
Hey, I don't want to be in the middle of this. Okay.
Moises Tom War, rearing its ugly head.
It's been revived once again. So you guys have done, you've done a number of these shows as a whole cast, and before this, you have done various events, various premieres, you know, the Back to the Future, the ride that the two of you both worked on. You've encountered one another many times over the last 30 some odd years since Back to the Future came out. What has this experience, this tour of the five of you getting together been like? Has there been you know, something particularly special about it? The fervor of the fans, you know, what has characterized this full cast tour for the two of you?
Well, just to get started in this area, I've done a lot of shows, and when it ends, it ends. The cast, you know, disperses, and there's an odd chance, maybe you'll run into one of them sometime, somewhere. But this cast just keeps getting together. You know, it's like a lifetime party. So it's great to come here. It really is. It's sort of taken on a life of its own. And it's cool. And of course, the biggest thrill, I think, for all of us are you, the fans.
I have joked about this thing, calling it the Beatles reunion tour, where I'm not sure if I'm Ringo or Pete Best. But it's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful, I mean, Chris and I have done a number of these things. I'm relatively new to it, but I've come out in order to do it. We have a good time together. First of all, the great part about it is the cast actually all likes each other. We all get along. We were professionals on the set. We worked hard together. There wasn't any real psychodrama on the set. Oh, you better be careful about this one. Better take the brown M&Ms out for this one. This one's demanding in this way. That one, watch out. In those ways that you've seen, like a movie like Galaxy Quest or something, there are a lot of disparate personalities. Of course, we're different people, but we're all affable people who get along. So when we all end up in a room together, like the rooms that we sit in before we come out to greet everybody, we're just getting along. We're just having a bottle of water and talking about things, talking about family. So it's fun in that respect. Now, when it becomes a special event, like when Michael is able to come out, when his schedule allows, when he can come out and it's everyone together, it's especially wonderful. Because, well, you know, it's especially wonderful because all of you guys enjoy it so much, you know, the entire cast getting together in that way. And for us, it's really special because honestly, we love the guy, he's a great guy, and it's great to hang out with him. So really, last night, Michael was leaving at the end of the day. Now at the end, when Michael is here, for us, it really becomes, as you can imagine, very busy. Very crazy people, just everywhere, you know, and signing things and the photo ops and everything. And I joke that by the end, after all day Friday, then a panel late night Friday, and all day Saturday, by the end of Saturday, I'm like Keir Delay at the end of 2001: A Space Odyssey. I just see colors going by. I'm just flashing various things. I freeze and watch myself as a 90-year-old man eating breakfast in a white room. You know, I don't know what's going on. Everyone's talking. It's so great that you guys are together. And I'm the star child. You know. Just because of talking to everyone and trying to have everyone have a great experience. But the fact is, I guess what I'm trying to say in my long and glib answer is, it's a great experience for you guys, but it's also a great experience for us. And it was so great that last night, we're all tired. And we thought maybe we'll see Michael in New York or somewhere like that, but we didn't think we'd see him at another con in this way. And at the end, he said, you know, it's really fun to hang out with you guys. I think we should do this a few more times someday. So you never know. You never know. Anyway, sorry to over-answer Moises, but
Tom, that's what we rely on you to do. The thing
we rely on you for just keep talking.
We just want you to fill the time. No, sincerely, Tom, and I've told you this privately, one of the things that I like about you, I like about both of you, is you were so incredibly kind, you were so incredibly heartfelt. You are there for your fans in a very, very authentic way. There's no artifice. It is that you take them pouring their hearts out to you, and you can see the effect that it has on you and the way that you interact with them.
And then you twist it, and then you turn. No, it's what the thing about I think all of us is Chris has been in the movies for so many years, but he loves the movies. I've been in the movies. I can't believe that I've had a career in the movies. I mean, the movies. You know, Hollywood movies. Can you imagine? My grandfather worked in coal mines. You know, my dad was in an orphanage during the Depression. All those American stories from all of our families. So for me to tell my grandfather, you know, I'm studying acting in New York, and I'm going to move to Hollywood and try to be in movies. I might as well have said, I'm moving to Mars, Papa. But the fact that you can get into an industry like that, doing a job, but something that you never dreamed of. Hey, I love movies, so I understand what it's like to see a movie that you think is so wonderful and changes your life or your perspective, and you meet those people, and I've done the same thing, where you're trying to just say, hey, thanks, that was great. I loved it. I loved it. So we all, I think, are able to feel the same thing and try to impart it to everybody. We kind of get it.
Yeah, and also it's like the Back to the Future franchise, or whatever, you know. It feels like it's hardly lost any momentum from the first few years.
It's still going 88 miles an hour.
It's still going 88 miles an hour. And I don't know everything about film history, but I'm not sure there's any other franchise that has had the length, the endurance that Back to the Future has.
And I think
unless it's Superman or something, I don't know.
Sure.
But
I think Back to the Future has that kind. Well, there was a time many years ago where everyone was, yelling butthead at me everywhere in airports and whatever malls and everywhere. And I thought, well, I guess there'll be a time when I get less famous, when the movie sort of dies out, and I'll do my parts, I'll do my roles in theater and television and the movies, but that fame thing will die out. Well, Back to the Future, the trend line of the fame thing has just gone up and up and up and up and up, because Back to the Future started at the beginning of cable television, at the beginning of a VHS tape, at the beginning of being able to watch it over and over and over. And I think that's a part of Back to the Future's success. But you know what I really think? I think it's the warmth of Back to the Future is what has given it the life of decades. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful story, and it's got a car, and flames come out the back of the car, and things and clock towers burst, and he goes down. But really, it's
It's about a kid who gets transported to the past and meets his mom and dad, and his friend who has to save him. And that's what the story's about. It's about friendship and family. So through all the bombs and the things going off, dun, 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 you know, all that stuff, it's just a story about a family and their friend trying to make things better. So people just love it in a different way than they love, the gentleman out on the con floor who's like, I killed 6 dudes and, chainsaw 45. You really kill a lot of people in the movies. Wait, and of course, that's fame, it's a different thing. But it's unusual. Hey, I was a bad guy. I beat up Marty McFly in 3 movies. And women will come up, and as they talk to me, they're starting to cry. Not because I scare them, just because the movie means so much to them. They're trying to share that with me. They're trying to share the warmth and what it meant in their life with me. And that means a lot, and I think that's what they call the legs. That's the thing that's kept the wind in Back to the Future sails.
Speaking of the legs that characters have, Chris, you have the part of Doc Brown has followed you in something that I've found to be kind of an interesting, fascinating way, in that you'll pop up on a show here and there, and quite often as Doc Brown. You've returned to the role in various iterations, from time to time. What has it been like getting the call of, hey, Seth MacFarlane wants you to jump into his Western movie as Doc Brown?
That was such a great idea, other than the fact that, I could do that. But it was appropriate for the moment, it was appropriate for the film, it just worked, so it was a lot of fun. If it's doing it right, where it really fits, I'm happy to, yeah.
I agree with Chris.
It's on one of the things that I love about seeing you pop up in guest starring roles in TV is that, as you said, so many people associate with the role of Biff. We've gotten to see you in Boston Legal, in so many different shows, playing so many different dimensions, and getting to see you stretch in ways that people who maybe start out knowing you as Biff, don't get to see you do this kind of characterization.
And I sort of try to do the opposite thing of Chris in a way, in that there's so many people that call me on a TV show or a movie, hey, we've got this part, you'll love it. You're beating up 4 people, and then you bother their wives. And follow, I said, I really, it's just not something I'm interested in doing. I've really done that, thank you. Really, really done it a lot. So I try to do other things. Look, when you're a big guy, I'm 6'3", I weigh what would you say, Moises, 170? I weigh about 170. When you're this size, you're not going to play ballerinas, you're not going to play the guy in the tuxedo who gets the girl. I'm just too darn big for that. But in my life, as an actor, I just want to be able to explore different things. So I know I won't get away from people saying, well, I'll act in anything. Say, boy, you look like Biff from Back to the Future. What are you doing? It is me! I'm a person! I haven't undergone significant plastic surgery.
You need extensive makeup to not look like Biff.
Exactly. I look like that guy. But I do different things. I think, especially live on stage, I've really tried to explore that, because that's a great venue for me to be able to say, well then, I'll write it, and I'll act in it, and I'll do whatever I do, and then people will come and enjoy it in the ways they enjoy it. But, Legends of Tomorrow, or many of the different shows, I look for a different kind of thing, a compassionate dad, of Steel and Legends of Tomorrow, that sort of thing. I try to pursue that, but I, of course, understand, that preoccupation with Back to the Future.
Chris, you've played a number of fan favorite roles outside of Doc Brown, in Uncle Fester, in Addams Family. I say the words Buckaroo Banzai, and at least a few people like me are big fans of Buckaroo Banzai. And of course, you were in Star Trek 3. You know, you've got these different parts. You know, some of them have makeup appliances to them, like when you played a Klingon. Were any of these genre roles particularly fun for you? Did they maybe touch on a fandom that you were into when you were a kid, or that there was just a fun challenge?
Well, the Klingon I really enjoy because it's kind of a cartoon character. It's exaggerated makeup. I mean, it's a Klingon, and the broad shoulders, and there's one point in the film when there's like a serpent around my neck, it just had kind of stuff you relish seeing other actors do. You wish, God, I wish I could do that. And then you get an opportunity to do that. And it's kind of cool, kind of fun. You're living out your cartoon fantasies, something like that. Yeah. And I like to do it. I mean, it's something that I really like to do, different kind of parts, characters. So, yeah, that's what I do.
But if I do, you do find very unusual roles satisfying and wonderful. I mean, I played in a cartoon on Nickelodeon called Pig, Goat, Banana Cricket. I mean, a completely kind of nuts show by these guys, Dave Cooper and Johnny Ryan, these comic book guys that made this crazy cartoon. They said, thank you guys. It's been my dream in life to end up on television playing a psychotic banana. But that's what happens. I was on the show Legends of Tomorrow. Did you guys see when the Minotaur was going to attack me? There was an axe-wielding Minotaur that was going to kill me. And they said, Tom, we have this idea. The Minotaur's coming towards you with an axe. So you pick up a guitar and you sing Sweet Baby James by James Taylor. And you put the Minotaur to sleep. Who doesn't want to do that? There's a giant axe-wielding Minotaur. There is a young cowboy who lives on the range. It's just fun.
And you've both done a fair amount of cartoon voice work. As you mentioned there, Tom, you recently did a bunch of Troll Hunters universe kind of stuff.
A lot of stuff, yes. I'm the gym coach on Troll Hunters. I'm in 3 Below. I do a lot of SpongeBob. I've done a lot of SpongeBob episodes, which are wonderful. I'm on the 20th anniversary of SpongeBob coming up this summer. I will not tell you what happens, but I'm also live action in that show because SpongeBob decides to go out into the country. He takes a road trip. So I'm in that show, but I played a lot of Reg the Bouncer. Hey, welcome to the Salty Spittoon. How tough are you?
Do you enjoy the process of voice recording? Much in the way that you're talking about getting to live out some childhood fun.
It's unbelievable. I can't believe like a lot of the voiceover people, Frank Welker and these people that are in the history of cartoons. To be able to work with them is a lot of fun. And the way they do cartoons now has changed. It used to be that a cartoon was made by the animators, and then the actors would come in and just act to the picture. Now, because it can be funnier, looser, especially on a show like SpongeBob, they do the voice recording of all the actors first. They pick out the funniest ways that things sound, and then they do the animation to the voice recording, not the other way around. So it is a lot of fun to get together. Literally, you get together with the actors, Tom Kenny, Bill Fagerbakke, all the people involved with SpongeBob, and just act out this crazy cartoon and have a wonderful time and get paid.
I have to ask for all the SpongeBob fans in the audience, is anybody in that booth particularly good at just making everybody lose themselves laughing, just ruin a take? Or do you behave yourselves pretty well?
No, we don't behave ourselves at all. At all.
I was about to say,
there are many guest artists. John DiMaggio is a fabulously awesome voiceover artist who will not stop. So he's wonderfully funny. Tom Kenny, I mean, a lot of these people, Tom Kenny, and I've known Tom Kenny since stand-up comedy, way like late 70s, early 80s. So Tom is a wonderful comedian. So there are many, many improv actors and that stuff. So it's really a ball. But of course, you have to get the script. So we'll do the first one where we act the script. Then we'll do the second one where we improvise a little, and then they'll pretty much say, well, this one, go crazy. Go crazy. See what happens. And you just kind of go nuts, and a lot of times very funny things happen and they stay in.
Let's turn it over to you, the audience. Let's go right over here first.
Mr. Lloyd, so you have some Klingon blood in you. So I was wondering if that ever has an effect on anything when it comes time for romance.
Well, did you take the part of the Klingon home, or are you a Klingon in the sheets and Chris Lloyd in the streets? I don't know that anybody's ever asked you that, based on the look on your face.
Sometimes it's one way and sometimes it's another. You probably have that experience down there, you know. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good. So, yeah, I'm something to contend with, you know.
Come on!
Mr. Lloyd, Mr. Thompson, lovely meeting you today.
Thank you. I'm Tom. I just married Leah last night. So I'm Tom.
Mr. Leah Thompson.
Yes. So don't judge, Moses.
No, I'm not.
So throughout your time making the movies, what would you say is your favorite moments from this timeless trilogy?
What is your favorite moment from this timeless trilogy?
I don't know. I've already been asked that once today, privately, and I couldn't think of an answer. Back to the Future 1. Okay. I don't know.
Was the whole process that you really enjoyed filming, that you were getting to, you know, like Tom was talking about earlier, have fun while you're doing the work?
Yeah. I remember I had to chase a train in Back to the Future 3, and then pull myself out of the saddle and onto the train. And a stuntman was to do that moment. But I, galloping along the side of the train and catching up the train, and I was at a point where I know I could have grabbed that handle on the train and pull myself safely up onto the train. I was so tempted. And at the same time, if it fails, it's a friggin' disaster. And I thought a little bit about my future, and being mature and sensible and doing the right thing, and the stuntman did it. I don't know, it still bothers me.
How about you, Tom? Any part that was particularly fun for you to work on?
The movies took a long time to make, so there were so many kind of peak experiences of them, of each one, that it's hard to pick out anything. But as I always say, I think with Chris, with Mike, with all of us, growing up watching movies, to be in an old-style Western was amazing. They don't make movies like that anymore. Little cattle on the set, and as I said, I learned to ride a horse. Corky Randall taught me. He taught John Ford how to ride a horse. He was a stunt rider in John Wayne movies, and I learned from him. I learned to to spin the rope over my head while the horse is galloping. Unbelievable. I learned to quick draw a gun from Hollywood's quick draw expert, Arvo Ojala. If you remember Gunsmoke, at the beginning of Gunsmoke, there's a gunfight. Right before the beginning credits of Gunsmoke. And Gunsmoke, for you young people, is a show. They'd ran for like 30 years. Arvo was a little guy in the frame, and the big marshal shoots him. He draws the gun, but he gets shot in the beginning of Gunsmoke. And then the show starts. That was Arvo. You know what? For 30 years, They had to pay that guy because he's in the show. He did the opening credits of Gunsmoke, and every time they played it, they had to pay him. Not a bad deal. But to learn those things, to walk into a saloon, push open the doors, you know, and they go flap, flap, flap behind you, to walk with spurs, you know, chin, 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 aim and fly, you know, that stuff. That's just super cool. And any guy here would want to do that, you know, not to be sexist about it, a lot of ladies too.
I remember I did a film called Going South, and at the start of the film, there's a posse that chases Jack Nicholson, an outlaw, and we were in Mexico in a place where there was just a flat, like a lake bed that had gone dry, and it was miles of it. And when you were at one end, you could not see where it ended. It just went on and on. And then they had the posse that was so far away that there was the camera shot was like so. The posse was coming this way and runs past the camera. And from where we started, we could not see it. The camera so far away we couldn't see it. But we galloped that entire distance to it. And there was about 20 of us on horseback in our Western, our Western gear, the pistols, and all the deal. And action. And we just went straight that way, gradually came to the camera, passed it. But that, whatever it was, 2-3 minutes, I don't know, 4 minutes of galloping like that, it was such a thrill.
It's in the same way.
Yeah, it's like, who gets to do that? Play riders going
It takes
across
you
the
to a different
plateau.
Oh, and the Back to the Future 3, yeah. The stuntmen had all those horses, and they would exercise the horses at lunchtime. The horses had to be a little calm when we got to them, so they didn't move around too much when we were shooting. So they would take the horses out into the Sierra foothills near Yosemite National Park, where we were shooting. And the stuntmen said, one day, Tom, you want to come along for a ride with us and exercise the horses? And first of all, it was a great compliment that they thought I was a good enough rider by that point to come with them. But so I get up on horseback, and it's like Chris said, it's just gorgeous, the hills of the Sierra, all green and everything, and you're galloping, and everyone's wearing their outfit. Everyone's dressed like a cowboy, and you can't help it. I'm on the horse, and you're just thinking, dun, 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 I'm a cowboy. It's the old West. I'm so macho. You can't help. It's every kid's dream to do something like that. So I guess that's an answer to your question. It's fun to be a cowboy.
Get a little closer to the mic. I can't hear you very well.
Sorry, I'm just really nervous.
Look, man, I'm on stage with him. How do you think I feel?
So, it's not a very serious question, but I was just wondering, if the time machine wasn't a DeLorean, what would you want it to be?
Well, an earlier version of the script, it was an icebox. And that didn't fly. But I don't know what I'd rather it be. Unless it be something absurd, like a tractor. I don't know.
But he's right. The first version of Back to the Future, the time machine was a refrigerator, and you had to get near the nuclear test site in Nevada in this refrigerator in order to travel in time. Exactly. First they were afraid that, you know what, when this movie comes out, kids will get in a refrigerator and they'll close the door thinking it's a time machine. That won't be good. And we have to film it out in Nevada, and how do you do a nuclear test? See, all that sort. it became a DeLorean. I would have much preferred a 69 Camaro convertible. First of all, I don't even fit into a DeLorean, okay? If you saw the photo ops out there, I stand next to the DeLorean. You know, you can sit in, well, you can do what you want. I cannot fit. Biff actually steals the DeLorean in one of the movies. He gets into the car and drives off. The DeLorean takes off. Well, I have to origami my legs in order to get into the car. And Bob Zemeckis is going, cut, cut, cut. Tom, you're stealing the car. Just get in the car and go. I said, I do not fit in this car. I cannot physically get in the car. When I close the gull-wing door, my head is that much over the DeLorean. It's over the hood of the DeLorean. So if you see the movie, I reach up and I kind of close the door, and then it cuts to me. Oh, okay, he's already in and he started and it's flying out. So that's it. So I don't like DeLoreans. I think they should have made it for normal-sized men like myself. The 69 Camaro convertible is just a really cool car.
Over here. Chris and Tom, thanks for coming down to Orlando and meeting us and doing the panel. This question directed more to Tom. Can you talk more about Eric Stoltz still being in the first film?
I'm sorry.
Eric Stoltz still being in the first film.
Eric Stoltz still being in the first film?
He's supposedly the one that when he punches you, he's still in the film.
Oh, I think so. I think that's Eric's fist that just comes through like. I think that's his fist in that shot. But other than that, you know, it didn't work out. There's many. You can Google anything and go on the next 18 days of like, no, I'm going to read another article about Eric Stoltz not being Back to the Future. You know, and
Back to the Future now available on Blu-ray with loads of special features.
yeah, it's so you can see that it didn't work out, and now that Michael's here, you know, Michael made the movie great. He made the movie great. And Chris, of course, you know, we had to overcome some of his performance. No, absolutely. It's the amazing thing.
That's fair, that's fair.
The amazing thing is why you guys love the movies is all the puzzle pieces fit. You know, every actor, every performance, all of the puzzle pieces fit together in order to make a timeless classic that everybody loves, unless they're stupid. So, for whatever reasons, as I said, the debate will rage on far beyond us. The puzzle pieces didn't fit until they fit. And thank God they fit.
That's why we're here right now today. Over here.
Hello, sirs. It's absolutely ecstatic to be able to ask you a question today. I've got to admit something right off the bat. I have not seen any of the Back to the Future movies.
You're just that big of a fan of these two guys.
I am a fan from your other work. That's why I was very happy to hear that you received your cartoon roles very well, like SpongeBob, and I have seen Roger Rabbit. But I have a question for Mr. Lloyd. How on earth did they get you to be part of Cyber Chase for PBS?
Actually tomorrow we're shooting some more episodes, tomorrow and Tuesday. How did they get me to do it? Well, I just kind of liked the character. They had a cartoon drawing of how and I kind of enjoyed that. And he's such an arrogant, silly guy who thinks he's the greatest thing. And I just thought it'd be fun. Did I capture
I think you captured it perfectly.
Oh, thank you.
And also, real quick, I don't know if you can accept it, but I have a small gift of art that I wanted to hand to you.
You guys back at your table after this?
We'll be right back at our table right after this.
Bring it to the table.
Gotcha, sure, definitely. Thank you so much.
And I will accept it for him if it's money.
I'll just come down and get it.
be sure to do that. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Over here.
Hi, sirs. This is for Mr. Wilson. Could you talk about your experience on Wing Commander?
Wing Commander was a lot of fun. Wing Commander was the first live-action, interactive computer game that they made into a movie, right? So Mark Hamill is in it, Malcolm McDowell is in it, John Rhys Davies is in it, I'm in it. But this was at a time where we're shooting this quote-unquote movie, and none of us knew what it was. Like, we would have to talk to the director and the people, like, what is this we're doing? Well, it's a computer, and then they play aspects of the game, and then they come back to the story. So it ended up, we didn't understand. The script was at least 5 inches thick, because it was the first quote-unquote movie where the person wasn't a viewer, the person is a player. So the player has the option to have this scene that we're acting in go 3, maybe 4 different ways, you know? The girl likes the guy argues with the guy slaps the guy never decides never to talk to her, whatever happens. So you had to memorize the sort of the 4 different ways that the scene could go. Again, thinking, I don't understand this, but I'll just keep acting, and I hope it works. And they put it into Origin Systems, who's a big gaming company, put that onto the computers, and it became a huge hit that we ended up doing a couple more after that, Prophecy or whatever. So it was a huge hit, and many people come up and actually say, hey, Maniac, Wing Commander. And I say, oh, computer nerd from a long time ago, I get it. But it was wonderful. Mark's still a great friend. I know he's unfamiliar to you con people, Mark Hamill, but he's an actor who's done a couple of things.
Thank you.
Okay, over here.
Hey guys, so Chris, Camp Nowhere is still one of the funniest movies I've ever seen.
Yes.
Yeah, love that one. And I know that, Tom, you do the Stop Asking Me the Questions song.
Yes.
Is there anything that you guys do that like helps you deal with like just all of us?
The stuff that they get asked a whole lot.
Yeah, or like something that's therapeutic that helps you deal with just all of it.
Yeah, what's the big, I'm curious, what's that big, the number one question that people come,
What does everybody ask you? Don't mean to put you on the
Like,
spot.
what was your favorite moment?
Oh, yeah.
Anywhere. Or what was your favorite movie? Favorite character? Etc. It goes on ad infinitum.
And how do you deal with answering that question over and over and over so many times?
I don't deal with it well. I feel remiss that since the last time it was asked me, I haven't done something about coming up with an answer. Because I don't, it's painful to go through the humiliation of not having an answer. And it happens over and over and over again. And I'm really sick of it.
Whereas I, on the other hand, am so accustomed to humiliation, I really don't care. Early on, honestly, before I got famous, I knew a lot of famous people. I was doing stand-up comedy, and I knew a lot of guys who'd done it, a lot of actors who got famous for 1 or 2 things, sometimes singular things. So when this phenomena began happening to me, I actually sort of took a step back to look at, well, I've seen guys deal with this in ways that are frustrating to them. I've seen them live unhealthy lives because of the over-concentration on it. So what would be a healthy and fun way to approach this, to approach being known as a character and being asked the same questions over and over? So I just wrote a song. I wrote a song stop asking me the question. That's joke song. But it's basically filling out every question that people always ask me from Back to the Future. And when I do it on stage, I'm not saying it's frustrating to me or you anger me by it, but I am saying, just so you guys understand, I've been asked these questions a lot. So much, in fact, that I wrote a song about it. So always in those ways, I've tried to deal with it in a relaxed way, with good humor. But like everything, like you guys at your job, sometimes you need a mental health day, right? Sometimes, whatever it is, if you're an orthodontist, you're just, that's a lot of tooth straightening, man. I need an iced tea and a hammock. So sometimes I think you do have to step away, and sometimes people do just catch you at a bad time, you know, because we all have those moments in life, right? At the airport when you're upset about something, you know, you're really upset and something's happening with your family and your ticket's wrong and you're just, oh my gosh, I just have to tell you this, you know, the person who comes up and you're just like, it's just not, you know, it's not cool right this second because I'm trying to just live life like everybody, you know? So I guess my quick answer to my glib end is it's complicated, you know? You do your best and you try to be a friendly person, and I've been in your position of meeting actors and I want to ask them that question, and sometimes I get to, and sometimes I just think, leave it alone, leave it alone. Let the guy live, you know, let the guy just do his thing. So we're all in the same boat, trying to be kind people and trying to, you know, give everybody a fun and nice time.
Well, that's one of the things that the two of you do so well, is you are very much there for your fans. You're going to say something, Chris?
Nothing except that you know, when people want to ask questions or whatever, it means and they come up and say whatever they're going to say. It means they're interested in what I've done or what you've done. They have an interest, and it's a positive one. Otherwise, they wouldn't come up to you, you know. But when they come up and have questions, so you kind of remember that it could be a lot worse. You know, you're not getting a tomato in your face when somebody say, "Boy, do you stink!" You know, up there on stage or whatever. People come to you and ask those questions because they're interested and they have liked what you've done. So it's gratifying.
It's mostly good. As me, you know, being Biff and Mad Dog and everything, yes, over the 35 years now, there are plenty of dudes who just want a piece of me or who want that thing. You know, you guys kind of got bigger guys know what I'm talking about. So, you know, I don't want to respect his work. I just want to get a rise out of this guy or say that I pushed Biff around or whatever. So, and that's the only time when I can get a little impatient. And you can be, you know, I'm over that thing with the dude who wants to start something, because when you're like, you know, excuse me, my friend, do you think this body is special effects? You know, so you know, don't. So please, just, you know, that thing does get a little old. Guys with a lot of liquid courage, you know. I don't walk out in Orlando around all those restaurants late on Friday night when guys are doing, you know, a lot of this.
You're both so wonderful, so gracious, so lovely with your fans.
Particularly me.
Particularly you, Tom. I got good news and bad news. The good news is you'll be back at your tables here shortly after we're finished, yes?
This is not done.
The bad news is, yeah, we're out of time. We went over, in fact, Tom.
We went over?
We went over. You don't want to know why? Because we're having such a good time.
Can we do this, guys? Just this guy who looks so disappointed.
I bet it's fast. I bet it's real
I
fast,
see his
right?
shoulder slumping.
First of all, Mr. Wilson, Mr. Lloyd, thank you for being here, and hello.
Thanks, buddy.
My question was basically about what you guys did shortly after the movies, the Back to the Future ride. So, like, what was that experience making the videos for the Back to the Future ride? Did you enjoy the ride?
Real quick, Back to the Future ride was great. It was a technological marvel. It was before its time in a flight simulation ride vehicle. And it was very interesting, done by Douglas Trumbull, who did the special effects in 2001: A Space Odyssey. So again, They just get the best people to do this stuff, and it's just a thrill to be around these, even technologically, to be around filmmakers like that. Does that kind of answer your question quick?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody, really.
Let's do it one more time for Tom Wilson.